So, a very good afternoon to all the viewers. And Today is the fifth day, that is Panchami of Navratri, a very auspicious day. And I'm so happy that on this auspicious day of Panchami, I mean, five has a very big significance in our culture. Like we say, the Pancha Mahabhuta, air, water, sky, fire. So all these things make this Panchami so special, and especially in Navratri. The festives start from today. Panchami. And on this great occasion, we have a very learned, dashing Durga with us, and that is really a cherry on the top for us. So she is rightly our fifth Durga. So I welcome Advocate Devyani Kulkarni, and she is. If I define that word, it's a word which when you hear, you get goosebumps. So she's a criminal lawyer in the Bombay High Court, and there are other things also which she does. So we will talk with her. We will understand that why in this whole scenario of such a dynamic, challenging, aggressive world, she still chose this kind of a career, and what triggered her, what made her take this kind of a career. So welcome Devyani, and we wish you all a very happy Navratri to you, your family and friends. And thank you for removing this time for us. And let's begin by understanding that why such a dashing and challenging career option.
Thank you so much, Mayura. This was more than generous introduction. I was not expecting so. Thank you. You've been very kind. Thank you. As Mayura introduced, my name is Devyani Kulkarni, and I practice at the Bombay High Court as a litigating lawyer. Just to give a brief background of exactly what I do is that I work in the chambers of a senior advocate, Mihir Desai, and here, as we see in movies also, there are different kinds of lawyers. So what exactly I do is that I appear in courts and I argue matters, and that is what is known as litigation. And that's since I also practice criminal law, so majority of my responsibility is preparing a case and then going appearing before a judge and arguing that case. Um, and as to why, if I am to start with explaining why I chose this profession, to be honest, when I decided to, there was a running joke in my family. I used to argue with everyone over, in fact, since we are on this, this is for this Navratri and, highlighting the issues of women, etc. I always used to argue with my family as to, why can't empathy, or if I'm menstruating, why can't I go and appear before the temple and issues like that. And that's I used to argue with everyone over these basic rights for women. And there was a running joke in my family that you argue with us so well that you'll probably make a good lawyer. And I took that joke very seriously and decided to pursue law. And honestly, when I decided to do law, it never occurred to me that it's going to be a difficult field. That was never a consideration for me. Luckily, I had a very supporting family who also never made me realize that, there might be difficulties like this, or this might be a very demanding profession. That was never a consideration for me in the first place. It never really occurred to me. I chose law because I was interested in pursuing litigation. And in Pune, there's a very good ILS law college, so which is also close by. So for me, the difficulties were never a part of the consideration in this decision to pursue litigation for me. It's only later on I realized
Okay.
what all is there, but at the time of making the decision, this was never a consideration.
Okay, so I know I just noticed one thing what you said just now. So sometimes, in Marathi, I would like to tell the viewers that in Marathi, we have a very nice kahavat, okay? त्याला म्हण म्हणतात. So the proverb goes this way, की बाळाचे पाय पाळण्यात दिसतात. Now, what does this proverb means is that as soon as a baby is born, the gestures or the way the baby acts. Okay, the baby cannot say anything that time, so it keeps blabbering. But there are a lot of behavioral things which you can observe the body language of the baby, and that itself indicates what the baby is going to become in the future. So, like Devyani rightly said, so she has been arguing too much in the childhood on very sensitive issues, with her family, of course. The family just said that jokingly that, if you can argue so well with us, then why not you become a lawyer? So this is what I always keep insisting that all our careers or all our professional lives many a times are influenced by these kind of small triggers, which come from our family, which come from our surroundings, and which come from our social circle as well. And how a particular person or how a particular woman will react to those kind of situation is what is a classic example of whom we are talking to. So every time when somebody taunts us or says us something, instead of taking it in a very negative way or ignoring it, we can always have that sixth sense of understanding why a particular person is commenting this on me. So Devyani just took it up, and she took it up as a profession. So if why not? If arguments can pay you, then why not take it up as a profession? So definitely, and
Definitely.
in India, I mean, it's so common that a woman is always known for putting down her point and making her point work out in her own way, of course, and. The biggest thing is that she also takes care that while she is doing this, she's not hurting the other. So I think so. This is a secret. This is a tact which Indian women
Definitely.
really have it inborn. You know.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
nice,
Keeping
Devyani. So
everyone happy
the next,
is at the center
yes,
of their decision making most of the time.
yes, exactly. So that's what I was just going to come up next. So after you chose this career, you went through the studies. You made yourself self-sufficient with the knowledge required to get into this profession. But once you got into this profession initially, what were the challenges as a woman? What were the different kind of milestones which you had to achieve and prove yourself as a woman? If you could throw light on that, it would be great.
Um, the challenges, honestly, which I believe would be present in any other profession as well, is to be taken seriously as a woman. When I started practice, I also had male counterparts, my male colleagues, and I would see that every day in court as a very normal occurrence is that probably they would be taken much more seriously than I would be taken. Even if there's a case that I am handling, I'll see that the other lawyers, who are also like the profession is definitely predominantly male, uh, would speak to my male colleagues and not to me, or someone will come and ask me something to the on the lines that, oh, you're so young, are you allowed to practice? Are you allowed to argue? So the you know the like principally there is this challenge of being taken seriously as a woman in this profession because generally it's predominantly male and men are appear to be more confident and are more trustworthy in this profession. So I think the initial the challenge definitely was to be taken seriously by lawyers, by judges, to be I would sometimes be addressed as by a judge as say a young lady. My male colleague of a similar age probably would never be addressed as a young boy, or in fact not even then. Even now, sometimes uh, now that I'm 30 years old, still 30, 31 years old, still someone will come and call me, "Arey, ye to bachchi hai." That's something that I think as a society we need to overcome. Being okay with having women in professional spaces and not taking them so lightly just because that person is a woman. Respecting that, they're as responsible and as understanding and as professional as their other men in the profession.
Devyani, you made such a good point and a point extremely close to my heart. And this is something which is even prevalent today in any industry. That when they see a woman, and especially you were too frank to mention your age. Also, you don't look that age. What happens is a similar experience with me also, that when I go for meetings or anything like that, when you don't look of your age, of course, I
Hmm.
take it as a compliment. But the thing is that, like you said, ये तो बच्ची है, ये क्या करेगी, you know, and the expectations when you stand for presentations. So I'm just talking about the corporate world. So this
Hmm.
is like just a
Correct.
parallel
Hmm.
scenario
Definitely.
where
Yes.
they address you like a young lady, where they try to say that you are too young to understand this, okay? And this is all because of your appearance. So everything works on aesthetics when it comes to a woman. Once you open your mouth, of course, the game changes because, like I always believe, and of course, you will also agree with me that it's our knowledge then which plays the power game. So the way you
Surely.
argue, the way you put up your points in front of the judge are not less than a person who is maybe, two times more experienced than you, or the thing. And that's how I feel every woman should prove herself. So whatever the aesthetics are, I mean, whatever her body language is, or the way she dresses for that matter, okay? I mean, in your profession, at least
Hmm.
there is a dress
Definitely.
code which you have to
Hmm.
follow when you go to the court. But in the corporate life or in other scenarios, we don't have any kind of dress codes, okay? तो इंडिया में इट इज लाइक दिस कि हाँ साड़ी डाली है मतलब शी इज अ वेरी कल्चर्ड शी इज अ वेरी
Hmm.
ट्रेडिशनल लेडी एंड देर आर अ सर्टन लिस्ट ऑफ expectations from her. And the same person, if somebody goes with a proper corporate dressing or a skirt or a
I
midi,
understand.
then the expectation list automatically changes.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
this is very stupid according to me, because people tick mark certain things just by looking at your attire. Okay. So this is a very nice point which you made, that ये तो अभी बच्ची है
Hmm.
वाला जो concept है, she is still young, and what can she do in such serious things, or what is she rather doing here?
Hmm.
Can she really stand up and argue against such a big,
Correct.
whoever the criminal that time, supposed to be the criminal that time, or the lawyer that time is? So that's a nice thing which you brought up,
Hmm.
and it's a very serious thing which I feel. So
Yeah.
yes,
There's judgment
nevertheless,
before they
when
meet us. Yeah. So that's
yes,
something.
exactly, exactly.
There's already
I mean, for that matter, yeah, people even when they speak to you, so even when they're on the
hmm.
phone, and if they hear a voice which is not so matured as per
Hmm.
the age you mentioned,
Correct.
then they feel,
Hmm.
there is nobody very serious talking on the other side,
Definitely. I've been
because
tempted to color
when
my
you
hair
say
gray so many times because of this.
exactly,
I
so
haven't
you can
I haven't
imagine.
given in yet.
Yeah, yeah. So, Devyani, you can imagine if this is happening to you. I mean, I'm a lady approaching 50, and then people say, "What? Like you have a experience?" And when you go and you have to literally say that, you carry a experience of 20, 25 years with you,
Hmm.
and that's why you're
Hmm.
standing where you are today. So all these things, very small, goes unnoticed, but they leave a lot of impact. And as you rightly said, we need to change this. That is one thing. So Devyani, coming forward, then now when you are into this profession, and now when things are progressing, there is one very specific question which always comes to my mind is, Today, OTT platform, today, social media has occupied a layman's mind so much, to be very, very frank, I come from the advertising background and the media background. The OTT has made all the web series or everything, it has a format of incident happening, then a lawyer coming in picture, and then the criminal getting the punishment. So today the layman is exposed to lot of legal things. In one way, it's a positive thing, obviously, so that you get educated. But how do you see at these things which are happening today due to the OTT platforms and the social media? Does this hamper when you are handling a client? Okay, like yesterday I was speaking to a medical professional and she said that today relatives come with lot of information. Google kiya hua,
Hmm.
WhatsApp pe diya hua. So do you think that these things matter even in your profession?
Surely. I mean, but to begin answering your question, I firmly believe that everyone in this country needs to at least have the basic legal knowledge because you encounter legal issues in your everyday life. So, at least the basic legal knowledge is something I think everyone should have. I mean, they do teach that to you in civics and as a part of your civil subject in school, but a little more in detail would definitely be beneficial. So actually, I appreciate now that with these newer shows, and they are becoming more and more real. I mean, from what we started with, it is definitely much more dramatized now, even now. But it is definitely much more informative also, and I'm actually quite happy that more and more people are getting to know about the law, and there's also more than knowing the law. There's one has to feel a certain ease with knowing the law. One shouldn't be very intimidated with knowing the law, facing lawyers and things like that. It's a very basic the only job of lawyers is to in a very civil manner put an end to the disputes between two parties essentially. So, one shouldn't be intimidated about knowing the law, dealing with lawyers, or anything legal per se. But also, having said that, these OTT platforms do tend to spread a lot of misinformation, wherein people feel that they know much more than we do sometimes, or they know better than we do. So, yeah, that misinformation definitely spreads on these OTT platforms. But having said that, it's not really a bad thing. I mean, I don't consider it as any that's a slight negative kind of a side effect that it has. But more or less, I believe that it's a good thing that's happening. Of course, we still get clients who will get us judgments and say that no, no, use this judgment, it's good, or what about that case, or thing. But you just have to explain to them that it's not exactly completely true what you've seen, and there's little more complex than what they show on in these shows and all of that. So, but yeah, like how doctors also usually now everyone has access to Google, and you have a even a fever, and you use Google to search the symptoms for a fever or whatever, you'll end up thinking you have cancer. So it's something similar to that. So definitely, but it's not as bad as yet. I don't think. I think overall these OTT platforms are doing well, I feel. They're also becoming more and more real. They're showing a
Correct.
more realistic picture of how courts actually function now. Of course, I'm talking about the Indian series on law and all of
Series.
that. Yes, definitely.
Correct. Correct. So this makes me ask you another following question. And when a male client approaches you, for whatever the case is, and when a female client approaches you, uh, do you feel a starking difference when you are fighting a case which is male oriented and a case which is female oriented? And if at all, it's a totally a different thing which you have to handle. Can you tell us how do you manage that?
Um, a stark difference, honestly, it comes from the other side. In fact, women clients feel more comfortable with a woman lawyer. And I think for them that makes a huge difference. Also, one of the reasons why I feel that we should have more women in this in litigation is that wi- uh, for women to have a better access to lawyers and law is to have more female lawyers, because the difference I feel comes from their side. Because for me, a client is eventually going to be a client, and I will have no, differences while arguing their cases. But that sense of comfort is definitely better when there's a woman client. They're generally more, and they feel much more comfortable in, disclosing all information and all of that, and being more honest about their expectations from the case and all of that. But for me as a lawyer, it doesn't matter if if it's a man or a woman whose case I'm handling. Uh, but also, like, having said that, I also practice along with criminal law, human rights litigation. So I do tend to work on a lot of social issues, etc. So for me, also being a woman, I would give a little bit more, maybe 110% to a case where I know it's going to benefit women, or it's for a cause that furthers the, some of the issues of women. Definitely, that's where there'll be a slight difference in how I approach a case.
Yeah, so like you said, that I like your honesty that when it comes to a woman, I think so they must be opening up a little more to you. Just I mean, even today in medical profession, it is somewhat
Hmm.
similar where we generally prefer for our certain problems going to a female doctor. I mean, in certain strata of the society, this is still very, very, very prevalent. Okay, and India operates that way. So it's good to know that because of this factor also, I think so there should be more and more women who should be taking up these kind of professions, so that the lady from that strata of the society who is not able to speak against her injustice, then it becomes very difficult for her to Yeah, Devyani, can you hear me? I just lost the
Yes,
connection for a
yes,
few.
yes, I can. I can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, sorry, we just lost the connection for a few seconds. So, Devyani, what I was trying to ask you then was that now, what is the piece of advice which you will give to young girls who want to do something in the same field of legal thing? And if at all you have to give a advice, then of course you have taken up a very challenging field in this. But then, what are also the other options which a lady can look into?
A piece of advice I believe would be to just not overthink this decision. If you're interested in law, if you're interested in reading about the law, uh, uh, just go for it. Don't don't even consider that, it's a demanding profession. Because uh, how I would put it is that, a man or a boy who's deciding whether to pursue law or not as an education is not going to think that, oh, it's demanding, oh, what if I have a family tomorrow? Will I be able to give the time? So I think it's now we've come to that stage where even women should not take into consideration all of these things. These are some things that can be eventually worked out. If you're really interested in law, you should just go for it and not really consider whether it is going to be difficult to manage your time or how challenging it is going to be, because these challenges women will face in any profession, not just law. And also to be not intimidated by law or criminal law, for that matter of fact. If it's something that you're interested in, you should just take it up. And the other options, in fact, now is that law is just, every day there's a new field coming up in law in which you can specialize. And now it's not just how we look at law is that, do you practice civil or criminal? It's no more like that anymore. You have media law, you have mercantile law, you have aerospace law. There's just so many options even in this. There's of course corporate law, that's there. You don't even have to do litigation. You can do other aspects of law of, working in firms, doing mergers and acquisitions, etc. So there are various fields, and every day a new specialization keeps getting added to this. So, also look at that. You may not be interested in civil or criminal law, but there's other service and employment law, education law. So there's a lot of other fields that are available in this. So the options are much better than what we think of, or what was there, say about even till 10, 15 years ago. Um, so yeah, definitely, I think it's a very interesting field. You'll never get bored. It's very dynamic.
Yeah.
So
And
that way also, if
I mean,
someone wants that kind of a field, then definitely litigation and law will give you that. You'll never get
yeah,
bored.
I mean, it's a very variety kind of
Mm,
field, of course, with its pros and cons. That was nice, but also, and what happens is, Devyani, in today's world, I mean, in the country where we stay in, where female child, once she is born, there is a lot of planning which has already happened in the minds of the
mm.
parents, that 1, 2, 3, 4, the stages for the lady has been planned. So parents are for career today. I'm absolutely not saying no, but when such kind of career options are stated by their daughter to them, that she wants to do law, but she wants to do it in this criminal kind of a thing. I want you to tell the parents, or rather, what do you expect that when such things come up, how should the parents interact? Is what I wanted to know from you.
I think the parents should never make their daughters feel that this is something they have to consider or weigh their options. They should never let their daughters even they shouldn't let it come to their daughters' minds that, oh wait, if I'm doing criminal law, it's something I'll have to consider and discuss. For a son, they probably will like for how it happened for me, since I was brought up luckily, fortunately, in such an environment that when I decided to do law, this never even occurred to me, that it never occurred to me that choosing criminal law will have these challenges and how will I deal with it, because I've always considered myself equal to any man. So that never really occurred to me. And I think a little piece of advice, or this thing I would give parents, is that create such an environment for your daughters that this thing will never occur to their mind, that whether I can do it or not. That concern shouldn't, they shouldn't have to think about all of these things. That's something I'll, and just supporting their decision. I mean, not forcing your decision. Just if she wants to do law, even if there are challenges in criminal law, even if there are challenges, let her do it. And all you can do is support her, and don't take away her agency of taking these decisions. Just support their decisions. And yeah, it's not as bad, and it's not what we see in the movies also. It's not that risky or anything of that sort, you know. Maybe get acquainted, maybe speak to a criminal lawyer, know what are the challenges, you know. Get rid of your fears of whatever. I'm sure they do it because they're protective of their daughters and they worry for their safety. But a good way of dealing with this would be to speak to someone who practices, speak to women. There are so many women criminal lawyers now and who are doing exceptionally well. Speak to them, understand that, you know, get rid of your fears that whatever you have and support their decision. That's, I think, one way they can look at it for any career. In fact, if they have any doubts, it's just to speak to someone who works in the industry and then make sure, you know, that you get a realistic understanding. That will probably help. That will also make them feel more happy with the decision.
Yeah, exactly. So I really like that one single point which you made that, parents should today groom up their child or bring up their child equally. I mean, I have a son or I have a daughter should not be the phenomena, because I
Hmm.
think so that's a very valid point which you made, that if they are grown up in that way, if daughters are grown up in that way, then when it comes for the time to choose careers, these questions might not arise, that a boy taking this field is not questioned, but a girl taking that field is questioned, or rather, she has to rethink about it. So that was fantastic, Devyani. Thank you so much for joining us and throwing light on this, I mean, so-called not very, very common field of women to, come in. And it was really very interesting insights, honest insights, which you gave us. So I'm sure the viewers will look into this profession very positively. And again, wishing you a very, very happy Navratri and wishing you all the best for your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayura, for having me, and happy Navratri to you and all the viewers.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Bye.